from the Mercy One studio. Making It Personal with Bishop William Joensen on Iowa Catholic Radio and iowacatholicradio.com.
Welcome to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. I'm Kelly Mesher-Collins with the Diocese of Des Moines. On today's show, we're visiting with Patty Origer, Coordinator of Persons with Disability Ministry at the Diocese of Des Moines, to talk about her work. But before we get to today's interview, let's find out what's on the Bishop's mind.
Good morning, Kelly.
Good morning.
Glorious fall day,
Yes.
full moon. I mean, as
Right.
if things weren't a great enough moment in our culture and our communities
What a year.
these days, with things happening on. And, of course, the great holy day. It coincides with Sunday, the All Saints' Day, and All Souls' Day on Monday as well. So our friends, and we don't simply look at the saints as those who are kind of up there, luminaries in the sky, brighter than the full moon, but also those who want to accompany us and to be for us. And so I think we cultivate those relationships as we honor them in that way. And I was certainly thinking about that this past weekend. Kind of a nice day on Sunday, the weekend. I was in Council Bluffs out west for our friends at Spirit Catholic Radio and things, installing Father James Hankara as pastor of St. Patrick's in Council Bluffs. Obviously a great love relationship there, even as they fondly lift up their former pastor, Father Glenn Wolverding, in his weakness. But I think Father James, he sang 3 different songs over the 3 masses I was with him that he had composed, all Mary and hymns.
Oh, wow.
So, of course, Mary is the crown of all the saints as well.
Right,
But,
yes.
Yeah, so, and then I came away with some strawberry rhubarb jam and a strawberry rhubarb pie. So,
Wow, nice parting gift.
If Mom's listening, I know, Mom, you said no, we don't need another fat bishop, so I'll try and space that out in that way. There were Nebraska fans who were mourning at that game at Mass on Sunday, so so the heaviness there. But of course, our sights on the things that endure and not on those transient things, even as they give us joy. And then at St. Francis of Assisi Parish for a couple of confirmations, they even before the social distancing protocols and things. So they 2 cohorts of at least 50, and I always learn new saints. These young people sometimes they choose patrons that I'm like, I need to know more about this person in that way. But very good there, and used a lot of chrism. We might have to have another chrism mass here
Yes.
to restock them too. But and then I was thinking last week, I don't know if you have your Halloween costume picked out or not. This is a trick or treat night, of course. So people are being very careful under the COVID concerns and things that are with that. I appreciate when I was in Shenandoah last week for a listening session with families at St. Mary's, and folks were there from Clarinda, Hamburg, and Basilica as well. But on the marquee on the movie theater downtown, it had the quote from Batman, "I wear the mask to protect those nearest to me." So I think that's very appropriate. That's why we wear the mask, to protect others, and hopefully if they're doing that, we do so as well. So all the more important. And then kind of a whirlwind trip up to Dubuque, to Loras College and St. Pius X Seminary, Father Dave Schatz, the rector, and a chance to see our 2 men there who are doing very well, kind of a renewal of that relationship between the Diocese of Des Moines and St. Pius X Seminary, and doing very well. And it's really great to see them. And then up the Mississippi River Valley, up to the St. Paul, and to St. Paul Seminary and St. John Vianney Seminary in there. And so we've got 8 men at St. Paul Seminary, so the Des Moines footprint is very large, and I think those men are really respected, leaders in that community, and great shining lights. And then the 4 at St. John Vianney Seminary as well. And so it was a great chance to be with the men and kind of catch up in particular with some of whom are approaching threshold moments, and so that was very good. And I really, again, the sacrifice that is made not only by dioceses to have faculty and administrators there, but of the priests themselves. It's a very kind of hidden ministry. You're working with fewer individuals than a parish pastor is, and you don't get that immediate affirmation. So it's kind of harvesting, working in the garden for greater fruit, perhaps, but the great commitment of those priests, so my esteem for them. Obviously, we got the election coming up on Tuesday. I know 80 million people have already voted. I don't know if you have, Kelly, or not.
I have not.
Go ahead.
Election day.
And I'm an election day person, but this year I have to vote at the downtown county annex, and it just I thought, I already stood in line half an hour last week to vote, so I did that early, and encouraging to do so and to remember our Catholic values as we do so.
We're going to take a quick break. When we return, we'll welcome Patty Origer of the Diocese of Des Moines. You're listening to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen on Iowa Catholic Radio and the Spirit Catholic Radio Network.
Hi, this is Father John Ricardo, and I want to thank Caldwell Parish Funeral Home and Crematory for underwriting Christ is the Answer. Losing a loved one, as we know, is never easy, and it can leave you feeling lost and even hopeless at times. But Caldwell Parish helps ease that burden by sincerely caring both about your loss and about your faith. Caldwell Parish Funeral Home and Crematory is Des Moines' only Catholic-owned and operated funeral home. Their number is 515-276-0551 or online at caldwellparish.com.
Thank you, Blessman International, for their support of Iowa Catholic Radio. Everyone lives their life 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. How we use that time directly affects if our life will leave a significant impact or not. Each year, Blessman International leads Central Iowans on a 12-day, all-inclusive experience sharing the heart of Christ with children in South Africa. Teams are forming to do something significant in an African child's life. Learn more at blessmaninternational.org. That's blessmaninternational.org.
Welcome back. I'm Kelly Mesher-Collins with the Diocese of Des Moines. On today's show, we're visiting with Patty Origer, Coordinator of Persons with Disability Ministry at the Diocese of Des Moines, to talk about her work.
Good morning. It's so good to end this conclusion of Respect Life Month, the month of October, and I think we think about the whole continuum of life. Obviously, life, the preeminent right for all of us, but then not just simply to have life, but to flourish as well. And so I think our care for those who might need special accompaniment along the way, and I think that's something that, Patty, you've been doing for a long time, very close and personal, but extending your ministry, I think now is it 8 months with the Diocese of Des Moines in a formal capacity?
Yes, 8 or 9 months, last December. So. All
right. Well, you kind of signed up on a kind of a boring year. Not a whole lot of events going on.
No major changes in life. No.
So, and had been affiliated with Des Moines Area Community College as well, but also some other positions. But bringing your insights, your experience, and your advocacy for persons with disabilities as well. So, as the coordinator, and that's contained within the Department of Evangelization and Catechesis. So, blessed is the one who brings good news to others. And I think you're kind of an apostle, if you will, of good news, and trying to also bring people together to form networks of support and presence and love, the love of God in this way. As we always call it, it's making it personal with Bishop Joensen. Your own experience and your own family. Is this something that kind of awakened your own advocacy and your own passion to bring people into community?
Yes. We were blessed with our son, Jeremy, when 27 years ago, and I've been married to Ed for 32 years, and Tremendous. We have a total of 4 children, and so Jeremy has brought blessings and changes in our lives and ways for us to grow and learn, and so we're very thankful. And as you said, when I advocate for Jeremy, I always think that I'm advocating for all people with disabilities, so that's one of the main reasons that I took this position. So.
Beautiful. And I'm sorry if my question as a statement kind of threw you off.
Yeah, I was like, how do I answer
this? Work with me. I'll work with you.
All right. I will, if you work with me.
Thank you. And doing so within the community of St. John Parish in Adel, right? But even prior to that, is that right? Or is that your longtime parish family?
Yeah. We actually were parishioners in Our Lady's Immaculate Heart in Ankeny for many years. So that's where Jeremy went to RE and Vacation Bible School. He was baptized there and had his first communion sacrament there. We then moved to St. John's in Adel, and before we moved there, we visited the church. And one of the first things we noticed that there was 5 or 6 individuals with adults with disabilities that were at church. They were part of the community. There was people talking to them and visiting with them. So we're like, wow, this is really cool. This is a welcoming community. This might be a place for our son to flourish. And he was able to be an altar server there. He was in youth group and went to NCYC twice. We did that having peer mentors work with him and support him. Since he's moved out of our home, he's been a member at St. Boniface and Christ the King. And he's been active in the choir there. He's a member of the Knights of Columbus, and he loves to work the fish fries and pancake breakfast. So that's great. One of the barriers we did face when he moved out of our home was, and that's a barrier that many people with disabilities face, is transportation issues. So when he wanted to go to church and his roommates in his apartment didn't want to go with only one staff person, he couldn't attend. So that was one difficulty that we faced unless we took him. So, but now that he's at Christ the King and he's in a host home, that's not an issue because he has one-on-one care. And so that was one thing that we solved. But I just always like to make people aware of it. Inviting and transportation is one way you can support people with disabilities.
Yeah, no, that's tremendous. And how, your perception of hospitality and the diversity within the community, including persons also who had disabilities, obviously each one unique in his or her own way, but then just the incorporation into the ministries and presence. I mean, Jeremy puts me to shame with all those involvements. I better get my act together and get busy here.
Well, Jeremy is one of those people that needs to be very busy. He's an active avid bike rider like you, Bishop, and he likes to move, and that's the way we keep him out of trouble. So,
I wonder if he's better at changing flats than I am. I don't know.
Probably not. He'd just call his dad. So.
He'd call his dad, and his number is, please.
I don't think he wants
you
me to
mentioned
give that
the
out,
host
so.
homes, and that may speak to some. But could you just say a little bit more about what host homes are? I think some of us know about group homes, but what's a host home?
Right. Many people know about group homes, and there's really some great group homes out there with some dedicated staff that work different shifts to provide a home living situation and support usually 2 or more individuals in that group home. But a host home model is kind of a newer model, and it's kind of based on the foster care model. And basically, there is one person that works for a supported community living organization that is a self-contracted employee, and they provide 24 hours of care 7 days a week in their home. And so Jeremy pays them rent to live in their home, and then they get a daily fee for meeting his needs, and he has goals to learn to be independent. So they get him out socially to attend events. Well, that's kind of prior to pandemic, but in his case, they get him to safe places to ride his bike. They help teach him cooking skills. They basically are his family when he's away from us, and they support him in what his interests and his life is. So It's been a great fit for Jeremy to have some one-on-one needs.
Wow, marvelous. And I think you shared with me before that his host is Kate, and Kate there, but she's not like a surrogate mom, is she? Or she becomes a kind of a person who's just there as a companion and teacher and guide in so many ways.
Right,
yeah.
Right. She supports him and helps him live a life that he wants to live.
Oh, that's tremendous. And the need in the community for persons who would provide host homes, is that a pretty high need right now, or is
there's always a need for support in group homes or host homes, or even being a respite care provider. There's people that when you're a caregiver, it's challenging, and you need to have a break and respite. So having a respite worker just to give that caregiver, that family member, a break is also really important. And there's paid positions and there's volunteer positions that people can always look into.
Tremendous. When we think about the diocese, and every day I come to appreciate more of the ministries that are already provided and the diversity that's there. I know persons, the deaf ministry is present at St. Catherine's at Drake, and also at St. Francis of Assisi, probably some other parishes as well. So as you came into this position 9 or 10 months ago, how do you see your role kind of engaging with parishes and animating various things? And I guess kind of ask you, describe your day job.
Well, I work a part-time flexible job, so every day is different because, as you mentioned, I also have another part-time job that I do. But basically, one of the things I'm doing is I'm reaching out to parishes and priests to kind of set up a Zoom meeting since we can't meet in person, and just try to learn about their communities and provide some resources and awareness, and some even partner organizations that may be in their community that they could work with to support people with disabilities. Mm-hmm. And
which may or may not be connected with the Catholic Church, right? The larger community organizations. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right, correct. So there's a lot of great organizations out there that are doing good work, and they just need other people for supports and volunteers and employees that people can look into. And so, and then one of the things as I'm engaging parishes is to just kind of think about opening your doors to people outside your church walls and reaching out to those people with disabilities, and then just trying to raise awareness. You know, people that aren't around people with disabilities, sometimes they just don't know what to do or what to say. And so it's really important for people to know just saying hello and hi means a great deal to any of us, really, most of us. And that people with disabilities have gifts that they want to share and abilities that they want to do to make a difference in this world, too.
Oh, that's beautiful work, and I think that work of engagement and outreach. I mean, I think that's, whether we're talking about persons with disabilities or in general, I think that's where really COVID has kind of drawn us into a place where we have to go beyond ourselves in ways and to make contact with people who might feel themselves, isolated at home, or just people that we haven't maybe crossed paths with. We get in our little circles, we sit in our familiar pew and things and pass in and out, but to broaden that and to draw us into that openness where that is the evangelical spirit, I think, where we really are whoever God places in our paths, but that's not by accident. We are also very intentional in that way. So, I guess what would be, as you see, things that, families you talk with? Are there things that they are maybe vulnerable themselves in some ways, and spiritually we have to be mindful and reaching out with resources, including our presence? Are there things that family members speak to you about the needs that they would have in a particular way?
Well, one thing that I heard from a family is, like I mentioned, just when they're at church with their children, just somebody saying hello and talking to their adult child with disabilities can make that person's day. And accompanying those families, and most important, even just asking and listening to families on what their needs are. The other thing is, people don't always aware of some people with disabilities aren't quite as noticeable. We have children with sensory processing challenges, that there's 1 in 6 children. 1 in 5 U.S. adults have experienced mental illness. 1 in 59 children have autism, and some of their behaviors we don't understand because behaviors is a way of that person communicating. And just trying not to be judgmental of why somebody is acting that way in church, just be accepting that and be thankful that they're there. And they're sharing their gifts, and they're part of the community as we worship and praise our Lord and Savior. So,
yeah, I think you had related to me a story as you were visiting another parish, and you just really appreciated how that parish kind of interacted with a young man who maybe would have been seen as a disturbance in other communities. Right.
So, yeah, we did have a great experience where there was a lot of hospitality and support from the ushers and the people around that person. So.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So not just obviously the sacraments, as they are the kind of the heart of our faith, the Eucharist, and the opportunity to be initiated into the community of faith, at First Communion and confirmation and that, but also other spiritual renewals, retreats and things. We know some of parishes have CEWs or other kind of similar weekend experiences. Are there those that are tailored to persons with disabilities?
Well, obviously at the time of pandemic, there's less of those things, but the one that I do know of that's coming up is supporting those caregivers, because those caregivers many times can face a lot of burnout, and they have that extra burden. I recently heard a friend of me say, who has retired, that the best thing about retirement is they didn't realize how much they thought about their job in their subconscious, and when they retired, that was no longer there. And it really kind of made me think about how caregiving is kind of like that. It's always in your subconscious, whether you're physically doing it or not. You're thinking about the next medical appointment, which medical treatment you need to consider, what you need to do to prevent the next behavior trigger that may occur in your loved one's life. All those things that are always constantly running in your mind. So as a caregiver, it's really important for those people to have a break. All parents need a break from their children at times, but health providers and disability caregivers need that time of break and rejuvenation. And with the National Catholic Partnership on Disability and the Archdiocese of Kansas City and Kansas, they have an upcoming virtual retreat for caregivers on Saturday, November 14th. And they are going to have a speaker come talk, and it's called Rekindle the Light, Spiritual Refreshment for Caregivers in a Holiday Season, because we all know how holiday seasons can sometimes be stressful. And with caregivers, it's even another extra stress. So this award-winning Catholic author and speaker, Maureen Pratt, will be talking. I have the link on the Disability Ministry webpage under Parish Resources. And so if you want to link and attend that event, I think they just ask people to register by November 9th, and it is a free event.
That sounds very good, very good. Nice little spiritual renewal, and obviously Thanksgiving is going to look different for a lot of us this year, and maybe not that opportunity to kind of be drawn together and have that support in that way. You mentioned that webpage. What other kinds of things might people find on that as they look there?
Well, that was one of my duties when the pandemic hit and we were kind of isolated and working from home. And so I developed the Disability Ministry webpage, and you can find it even if you just go to the diocese webpage and search for Disability Ministry. And there's lots of different resources on there. There's just things about the Catholic disability teaching and resources. One thing that I didn't know about is we have this National Catholic Partnership on Disability that supports parishes and families with resources and events. And also that the U.S. Catholic bishops back in 1978 wrote a pastoral statement about people with disabilities, and that was read at the hearings of for the American Disabilities Act that just celebrated its 30th anniversary.
Patty, I'm going to interrupt here just to pause, and we'll take a little break, but then if you'd hang with us, please. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
We're going to take a quick break. You're listening to Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen on Iowa Catholic Radio and the Spirit Catholic Radio Network.
Thank you, Blessman International, for their support of Iowa Catholic Radio. Everyone lives their life 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. How we use that time directly affects if our life will leave a significant impact or not. Each year, Blessman International leads Central Iowans on a 12-day, all-inclusive experience sharing the heart of Christ with children in South Africa. Teams are forming to do something significant in an African child's life. Learn more at blessmaninternational.org. That's blessmaninternational.org.
Is it time for a new roof? Then it could be time for you to get to know Bell Construction. Bell Construction is a roofing company entering its 30th year of business. They specialize in residential re-roofs, light commercial jobs, and have the experience to meet all of your roofing needs with personal service. With Bell Construction, the owner will come to your home or place of business in person to inspect and ensure the quality of work that you deserve. They pride themselves in working with you on a personal basis and making sure you are satisfied. Bell Construction, 515-963-4494.
Welcome back. I'm Kelly Mesher-Collins with the Diocese of Des Moines. We're back with Patty Origer, Coordinator of Persons with Disability Ministry.
Patty, thank you for remaining with us. And when I interrupted you, we were speaking about the U.S. bishops, our pastors of the country, the Catholic Church, their advocacy. And so that's one facet of what it means to be pro-life, that we have a voice in the public square with our government as well. And I think looking at that continuum there, so that pastoral letter was one of those moments there. You mentioned to me at one point another way in which our respect for all life is there, the PALS program, the Congratulations program, which is very intriguing to me. Could you say more about that, please?
Yes, that is listed as one of the organizations in our partner organization resources that I have on that disability page. But PALS is a program that I recently discovered that offers camping opportunities for kids or teens with Down syndrome. And then as part of it, they do an outreach program for when parents receive the diagnosis that their baby that has just been born or previously being born has been diagnosed with Down syndrome, and they're wondering how they're going to take care of that child and what that means for their lives, that these individuals send letters to those parents and congratulate them on the gift that they're about to receive, that gift of a child. And they also have put some of those letters together in a book that you can purchase and give to somebody in sharing how their lives are so meaningful to them and how they appreciate the life that they're able to give. And it's just to remember that even though it may be a stressful time and a scared time, but it is a time of congratulations. And so I really thought those letters and those books were really meaningful and would be helpful to new parents.
Oh, indeed. So that's, again, just good news to share. And I think, Patty, you've been a great asset to the diocese in your few months with us as well, raising consciousness for many of us, including myself. And so I appreciate that, and may God continue to bless and anoint all you're doing. And I look forward to future collaboration with you and through you with our parishes in that way. So thank you for the witness that you give. God's blessing on All Saints' Day and may you enjoy these days. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Patty. Oh, very good. So all that she's about. And I think that's a nice little bouquet here at the end of the month of Respect Life Month. We've been trying to address in so many ways through my messages on the website that, Kelly, you you put up with me as you help produce those in that way. You're a good scout in that way. And how, looking at different aspects along the continuum. And so, yes, so as we speak out, both as pastors and bishops, that message is there. Obviously, with the election, it kind of brings things, raises them in relief and the tension that's there. But obviously the preeminent right of life and how that spills over. And so I just, again, asking people in their discernment and deliberation, it's not our job to denounce, but to announce good news in this way. And I think that's where, as one nation under God, whatever happens on Tuesday, November 3rd, we want to be agents of unity. We know the violence that breaks out not only in this country, but other countries that can be religiously fueled, and how that's there, including in France, still suffering again in terms of Muslim extremism. What happened in France, Kelly, in recent days?
Sure, yeah. Well, there was a recent immigrant who came from Tunisia, I believe, and he went into the Basilica of the Notre Dame in Nice, and he killed 3 people. One of them was a dedicated sacristan who's been there for 10 years. Another was an older woman who I think regularly went, and there was a 44-year-old woman who had a couple children, and she ran to a nearby cafe where she died, but she did have a couple younger kids, so all 3 of those people died.
Okay, and so just in the ordinary expression of their faith, they became martyrs in that way,
right.
In that kind of provocative way, and great tragedy, but may they be spirited to the company of God's friends in heaven in that way. So maybe we suffer that kind of persecution, but in our country it probably takes different forms. And so in the face of that, how we want to be not more shrill voices, but those who bring peace, who suffer, if you will, for our witness, and will continue to do so. We celebrate the hopes that are given with Supreme Court justices who might uphold that, but we know as we choose our own local legislators that the constitutional amendment that we might seek that would allow for abortion neutrality. So we'll see what happens next week.
All right. This has been another edition of Making It Personal with Bishop Joensen. Thank you to our guests and all of our listeners in Iowa, Nebraska, and Wisconsin, and Iowa Catholic Radio and the Spirit Catholic Radio Network.
You can hear Making It Personal with Bishop William Joensen every week on Iowa Catholic Radio and iowacatholicradio.com.